Happens when the middleman between insurance companies and hospitals gets hacked. A disruption in the flow of money. It has happened, and local hospitals are navigating through this, and we learned that there's some federal help offered as well. Here's 7 News reporter Brendan Straub.
Back in February, Change Healthcare had to shut down its systems due to a cyber attack. It's the nation's largest clearinghouse or middleman between healthcare facilities and insurance companies. It runs under United Health Group. With many of its systems down, hospitals aren't collecting insurance claims.
A lot of our people in our accounts receivable, finance department have been having to do paper claims and paper filing in order to work around this.
Benjamin Rubaka, Carthage Hospital's chief information officer, says after being hit by a cyber attack of its own last fall, the healthcare provider hired a security analyst and improved contingency plans. Carthage was better prepared.
We continually monitor, we're on high alert, and make sure that everything remains clear.
Rubaka says United Health Group announced it will start collecting payments on March 15th and allow facilities to submit claims starting March 18th. But when that window opens, Change Healthcare will be flooded with claims. It'll take longer for the money to come in at hospitals and doctors' offices. U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer has been working to accelerate payments to ease the burden.
Payments are not a grant, but an advance, which the hospital then repays through a repayment plan once the systems are up and running and the backlog's been fixed and they're getting reimbursed from the insurance companies.
Things are manageable at Samaritan Health, according to spokesperson Leslie DiStefano, adding it doesn't anticipate needing government support. At Lewis County Health, CEO Gerald Kerr told 7 News, quote, "The patient accounts leadership and team have focused on developing workarounds for the existing electronic system process to help minimize the impact on our facility." Brendan Straub, 7 News.